Every city has a heart, and in Savannah, the heart still beats strong here in Johnson Square. Hi, I'm Darin Farr. I'm in the mother of all squares, Johnson Square. Why I call it the mother of all squares? Because not only is it the largest square, it was the first square. Johnson Square is named for Robert Johnson, the royal governor of South Carolina, and also a good friend to James Oglethorpe, the founder of our city. Johnson is known to have been a great supporter of Oglethorpe and a great help in establishing the new colony. Johnson Square was laid out in 1733, right at the settlement of the new Georgia colony, that would in part act as a buffer between Spanish Florida and the previously established English colonies. Johnson Square is located in what was historically called the Derby Ward. It was named after the Honorable James, the 10th Earl of Derby. The Earl was one of the 21 trustees of Georgia. Savannahans built their first houses here, so you could say this was Georgia's first neighborhood. Johnson Square truly was the pulsing heart of the early settlement. Residents came here to get water, there was a sundial and you could come see the time of day, and people would come here to post public notices, and oddly enough, even bake their bread. This square has not one fountain, but two fountains, which marks the sites of where the brick ovens used to be for use by the public. Now, it seems like bricks were at a premium at this time, so not everyone could have their own oven. So the public brick ovens were built. Now, in place of what had to be a terrific furnace of a bakery, we have the musical sound of refreshing water and an urban escape that is uniquely Savannah. This is the Sundial. The original was dedicated to Colonel Charles Bull, also of South Carolina, and also a friend of Oglethorpe. Now, this is not the original. This was put here in 1933. I guess in an extreme set of circumstances, you can come in and find out what time it is. Here in Johnson Square, there are all kinds of historical markers, and I encourage you to read all of them. Like this one here. It talks about here in 1735, Chiquili, head chief of the Creek Nation, recited the origin myth of the Creeks. All kinds of history here. You're really going to enjoy it. I'm sitting here on a bench, which is an homage to one of Savannah's favorite sons, Johnny Mercer. He was nominated for 19 Academy Awards and actually won 4 Academy Awards for such songs as Moon River. Let's just say here in Savannah, we accentuate the positive. In the center of the square, we find a tall white obelisk in the style of Cleopatra's Needle. This is a memorial to the Revolutionary War hero Nathanael Greene, the cornerstone of which was laid by the French general Marquis de Lafayette in 1825. Now, Greene was originally buried in the Colonial Park Cemetery, but during the Civil War, Union troops desecrated the old Colonial Cemetery, pushing aside the grave markers to make camp there. Nathanael Greene's grave was lost in the confusion, but was found years later in the Graham family burial vault and was reinterred under this monument in 1902. Folks didn't just come here to bake bread and fetch water. They came here to worship. Johnson Square was the center of Christianity in early Savannah. Christ Church was established in 1733 with the founding of the Georgia colony. It is the mother church of Georgia and was the only organized community of worship. Early services were held in English, French, and Italian, so all would feel welcome. John Leslie was the rector of Christ Church from 1736 to 1737. During that time, he initiated the first Sunday school and published one of the first English hymnals in the colonies. Francis Bland Tucker, rector from 1945 to 1967, wrote or contributed to 26 hymns in the Episcopal hymnal. George Whitfield served as rector immediately following John Wesley from 1737 until 1740. Whitfield is best known as the founder of Bethesda Orphanage near Skidaway Island. Juliet Gordon Lowe and Johnny Mercer were both members of this church. The two bell towers are not visible from the front of the church. That was to maintain the style of the Roman or Greek temple. Walking around here, I see Cleopatra's Needle, Roman buildings and architecture. It is kind of like Savannah's version of a Roman Forum. By the early 1900s, Johnson Square had also become the financial heart of the city. As you look at the buildings around the square, that's exactly what you see. SunTrust Bank, Bank of America, United Bank, Regions Bank, and many other financial institutions. But it was in 1911 that the Savannah Bank and Trust Company erected this amazing neoclassical tower. It was the tallest building in Savannah until the construction of Stillwell Towers, and is to this day the third tallest building in the city. Well, that concludes our little tour of beautiful Johnson Square. If you like this video, go to locallivingsavannah.com. There you will find a library of all of my videos on beautiful, historic Savannah, Georgia.